I thought Zach was a great leader for us. That's the most important thing that he can do, is be a great leader for our team. I thought he showed toughness. I thought he showed durability. He ran the ball effectively. He threw the ball okay. Zach went through a period of time in two-a-days when he wasn't practicing very much. And I've said this to the team, not that it's right or not, but I've only been around two people in 20 years, or probably 30 years as a player and a coach, that could not practice and still play well. And Zach's not one of them. And he hadn't practiced very much. So for the amount of time that he'd practiced, he played pretty well. But being a leader, being tough, and being able to run the ball effectively, he was very good in those areas.
Mike, a few years ago when you guys were getting started, you talked about using the spread as an equalizer.
Mm-hmm.
Is that pretty much what Houston's doing?
Yes. They do a great job on offense of spreading people out and putting you in a position that you got to make a play. You got to make a tackle. And, it's hard for me to speak to what their philosophy is, but like all offenses, there's some risk and reward there. And they've been very good at what they're trying to accomplish, no question about it.
Mike, who are those two people that could play well without practice?
Well, one of them is a Heisman Trophy winner. Even though he practiced very hard, he could have probably performed very well without practicing. And the other one was a receiver here at the same time. And he didn't have to practice, and he could play well. So those are the only two people I've ever been around that could do that.
Coach Perrish has always been a talent as a return guy in a corner, but what about him as a leader on the defense coming into his senior season?
Perrish made some big-time plays for us. And I've studied the tape, but I haven't gone into detail. You can get more information from Coach Jones and obviously Coach Young on that. But there were times that he went up and made plays in the throwing game that he should make with his ability. Perrish is starting to come around now. He's been somewhat behind the eight ball his first couple of years of his career because he wasn't really into in our opinion, what it took to be a college football player. But he performed at times last Saturday like he should. He should perform that way every Saturday because he certainly has the ability and the experience to do that, not only on defense but in the return game. Our defense played tremendous, but his return changed the game. It ignited the crowd in the second half, and we were able to score points, and it changed the perception of the game.
More times than not, you're going to defer if you want to toss, aren't you? I mean, is that
pretty much 100% of the time, unless it's monsoon or unusual day, wind or something. But most of the time we defer.
Coach, you made a mention earlier about the penalties, and in your opinion, what was the cause of having all those penalties?
Well, as I said earlier, I think the coaches are responsible as the players. I think there's a time we put them in a position they shouldn't be in. We should have took into account more of a big game atmosphere, a very physical team. And we had some young players in there. The first time that Anthony Morgan got in there, I think he jumped off sides. And I think one of the first two or three plays Justin Horton got in there, he jumped off sides. And so you just kind of take that on the chin, you go on down the road. So us not putting them in a position to have success, and then it's just some immaturity, just guys that hadn't played a lot.
Overall, were you happy, or are you happy with the depth this team is seeming to create? It's been a problem in the past couple years. It seems like no matter who you rotate in, the guys are making plays.
Well, they did in the first game. And I've said this a number of times. I want to be too deep across the defensive line. We're not there yet. We've got guys that are competing and playing hard, but we're essentially 1.5 deep. Shane Jarka made a few plays in this game for us in a huge caused fumble and has not practiced a lot. I mean, he's had injuries throughout his career, but he's a guy that makes you proud because he fits in your program because he does everything he can to get out there on Saturday, and then he ends up making a couple key plays. Guys like that. You want to have 8 of them across the defensive line. We're not there yet. We will. Over a period of time in recruiting, we will be there, but we're not there yet. We're getting more depth on the offensive line. Some younger players are starting to contribute, but you'd like to be 10 deep there, where if you had a guy that turned an ankle, you put another guy in, and you're not holding your breath because he's never played before. And that way, that just goes on and on until you can get enough young guys in your program that have experience. But it's you have to overcome injuries and certain things that happen in college football. When they trim to 85 now, it makes it more difficult. but we're getting close.
You
Coach,
had
you
the
said-
ball 11 minutes in the fourth quarter the other day.
Hmm.
I mean, that if you could just grind it, control it like that, that's the best way to defend Houston, right? Just keep the ball.
Yeah, that's a two-way street. People say you want to keep it away from an offense that scores, but if you're keeping it away, you got to score yourself. So, yes, if we have the football, then it's more difficult for them to score. But we also have to score while we have the football.
Mike, just one freshman played the other day. Is that the situation, or do you think you'll play more?
I think we'll play more freshmen than that. That situation didn't arise, it didn't come about yet, but I think there's a time that we'll probably play another freshman or two. Not sure yet, but there's a chance we play 3 of them.
Mike, would you assess your tight ends? I understand you guys recognize them with the award for stepping up during the games.
Yeah, those guys played well for their first chance to be out there when it counted. Wilson has played some, but he always played when he was a backside guy or he really wasn't at the point of attack. And then when he had to play some last year when Pettigrew was hurt, he had a chance to kind of get his feet wet and get going. So, essentially within the week he got thrown into the fire and stepped up and made some plays. And then Horton made a couple catches for us and did okay when he was in there. And he was a guy that was just kind of rolling in practice. And then Cooper Bassett made some plays for us and got in, and he didn't even practice with us. He was wearing red jersey all week. He was demonstrating Georgia's tight end for our defense. But we had to use him in a certain situation. He came in and did a good job. So that's why we recognized him for guys that were able to step in a crucial time and help us win a football game.